as far as the stories, like you were saying, like with homeless people, there's so many of them with so many different stories. So I can just tell you ours and what happened to us and what we went through. But for each person that I've seen there, it was, you don't ask people to talk. Some people don't want to. Some people you don't really want to talk to them. But they have, everybody has a story to tell. They have different reasons. Originally, we moved from Atlanta. We came here. I came up to do an interview a couple of weeks before we actually got here, and we did the interview. And at the end of the interview, we was getting ready to leave and go back to Georgia, back to Atlanta. And the guy asked me to, when was I going back home? I said, well, I was going back today. It was a couple hours of ride. And he asked me to stay over and do a road test. I drive trucks, tractor trailers, and heavy equipment. So I did, and we did. And about a week later, after I did the road test with him, he called me and I was in Atlanta. So he asked me, he told me that I had the job. If I wanted it, I had the job. So we discussed a few things, and I was discussing a few things with her. So I wasn't too sure, and we were going back and forth with it because we didn't have a place to stay up here. We didn't know anybody. So she had a friend of hers, and she told us, well, if you come up, you can stay with us, or they was gonna, have us a place to stay. And on the way up here, when we got here, we was calling, and we had been telling them, like, on a daily basis, they've been telling us, come on up, it's fine. And when we got ready to come up that same day, they kept saying it was okay. It was okay. And when we got here, that's where you're gonna stay. And then I had her and my daughter, and I was like, are you serious? So we were stuck here, and we didn't have any place to stay because they told us we couldn't stay with them. So we ended up at the women's shelter with her and my daughter. And so I was kind of bunking out in the car because we ended up throwing away half our stuff when we got here because I had to turn the U-Haul truck in, and I was towing my car. And when they told us we didn't have a place to stay, and the truck that we rented to get here, all that stuff had to clean it out. So we were sitting back and we were packing the back seat of the car up with as much as we could. And at that point, we were trying to figure out, like, well, what do you throw away? What do you keep? I mean, how can basically you decide? Because everything you brought was basically like clothes and, paperwork, personal items for like signing documents and proof of stuff. So we had to sit down and decide what to throw away and what to keep, and, what clothes to keep, how much, and a lot of stuff that we brought was some toys for my daughter, which was some, not a lot. We ended up throwing all of those away that we didn't have room for. We kept some. So we sat there and we parked next to a dumpster, and we just tried to decide what to keep, what not to keep, and we just filled the car with as much as we could. And I slept in the car for a couple of days, and then they told me they had a men's shelter, so I went there. So there we were separated. So they stayed there, and we were here. So we, they got her in school, which was important. That was our main concern. Once she started school, it was okay. But, even so, the rules of the women's shelter versus the men, they have different rules. Like, they get a bed, and, like, if I wanted to see them, I probably wouldn't get a bed because people start lining up for beds at 12. And once we got her in school, they have to be back in here at 4.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
And then they couldn't talk on the phone after 4. They take your phone. If you get caught on the phone, they put you out. But the only thing about that, I slept in the car a lot because if I wanted to see my daughter and her, my wife, then I probably wasn't gonna get a bed because I had to spend time with them. Mm-hmm. Because at 4 o'clock they go in. You gotta get used to the atmosphere because she'd get a coat one time and I was losing my mind. I was getting angry because somebody would steal her coat, and it was kind of rough because I was getting rather frustrated because so many things were happening to my daughter at the other shelter. They would, some crazy lady was trying to beat her or something with a belt, and then, some kid would punching in the face, and some girl threw her into a chair, and busted her inside her mouth. So, you know.
How old is she?
5. We play like to jump on people and talk and chit chatting, and you know, some of the other women, like when they have to go to chapel, and kids under 7 can't go. They have to stay with some kind of supervision, and that's what she kept getting beat up at all the time. I'm a big dude, so sleeping in the car was kind of crappy, but you know, you did what you had to do. Which after I would sleep in the car and get a blanket and wrap up, and that's why I say sometimes you have to pay attention to your surroundings. I would see some people that didn't have a car to sleep in, and still didn't make it in, so they were sleeping outside. Boy, you know, in the shelter, you know, because you don't have a secure place to put your stuff, and they fighting, you know, food thing. So it was kind of hard because, you know, we don't eat beef or pork, so if you didn't eat what was being served, you pretty much was going to be hungry. So I would buy food like little chicken wings, sausages, or whatever. You fix like sandwiches. In order to eat by the day, because you couldn't buy things that you had to store or refrigerate because we didn't have a place to put it. So I slept because, you know, you just feel people. And I was in the bunk bed once, and I was looking up, and I saw people's eyes looking, and you had to sleep with your clothes basically up under you, because if you don't, they'll steal them. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm looking at dudes, some guy looking at me in the face. I jumped up, I like, dude, I'm in the shelter. Like, okay, I don't know you, dude, but I'm not in my bed. You know, I'm not at home.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, just the fact that I was asleep. So after that, I never did sleep. Hardly ever. I may take a little cat nap, but I never could sleep again.
It's crazy over there. It's a lot of women over there that have mental issues, and they're homeless because they really don't have any institutes for them to be in. So they try to do as much as they can as far as make sure they take their medication, make sure they have therapy. Then they have another program for women with addictions or drugs and alcohol. So it's a big mixture of different people.
Yeah.
It's like a program for the mothers and the children. So basically everybody there, like single women, they either have kids or they had addiction problems or they have mental issues.
Yeah.
And they don't separate you guys?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, because see, over in the men's shelter with the side.
You have to watch yourself and watch your stuff, and then people will try to like fill you out and constantly say things just to see how far they can push you.
Or exactly what your mentality is, you know. You know, some people have a naive mentality or gullible, or, you know, some people are. If you've never been in a place, if you've never been there, you have no idea what it's like.
Looked up on the internet for shelters in Tennessee for families, and this was the only one that popped up. And then when I called here, they're like, this was the only one that was actually in Middle Tennessee. So I called and I talked to Jennifer, and she told me that the rooms were full at the time, but for me to put my name on the waiting list. And after that, I called like every day, or every 2 days, and I just kept calling, and kept calling, and kept calling, and kept calling, and kept calling for about a month.
For a while. I didn't get to see them that day because they took them to a pumpkin patch. And Jennifer called and she said she was from Safe Haven. I was like, who? But, you know, she had been calling her later. I didn't know because a lot of times we were separated.
Right.
So, but I know you did tell me about you put in for, you know, Safe Haven, but I didn't know. So she was like, well, you can come over and if you decide. I said, but I didn't have any information they needed. But she did. She's like, well, just come on over and just sign the papers what you can, and, you know, you can move in if you're ready. And you can move in. She said, we have 2 things, you know, you have to do a background check and take a drug test. That's a problem. I said, no. She said, well then, move in. I said, you sure? And I guess I had been sitting and had my stuff in the car so long I got used to it. So I was scared to take it out. So when we got here, it was a real blessing. Like I told Jennifer, I was glad. And I was so thankful because now I get to watch her. You know, the people that are here, the atmosphere is a lot different. It's a lot different. You know, no fighting. You know, at the shelters you got to be careful because you could be somewhere and they could break out into a fight in a minute. Oh no, well, we're trying to find jobs and we get a little assistance from people here and from a couple other places. And, you know, once you get the situation going and you can get the jobs, you know, then you can get back to being self-sufficient. Because without that, you know, it's kind of hard to say because, you know, you have to get yourself in a position where you can just have a little more control of your life. You work, make a paycheck, you can decide where you want to live, how you want to live, but based on, you know, all in reason of, you know, with your basics of what you make. But at least you got an opportunity to do something. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much the first part. But they give you an opportunity to try to get yourself, you know, situated, stuff like that, which is what you need.